Hey everybody, this is Casey Cease with Lucid Books, and I'm here with one of our authors today, Jamie Sandefer. Jamie Sandefer has written a children's book called Love You From Right Here. It's a wonderful story of for foster parents and those working through that process. And so, Jamie, I want you to I want our people watching this to get to know you and to learn more about you. And so tell us a little bit about yourself.
Okay, I'm Jamie. I live in the Houston area. I have four children. One is just in high school, another one in junior high, one started kindergarten, and a brand new baby. And then my husband and I have been married for 16 years, right out of almost high school. We met in high school, so that's really sweet. And we're really active in our community and in our church, and we're also foster parents.
Awesome, that's excellent. So talk to us how you got into foster care and all that. Most people, at least growing up, aren't like, man, I really want to be a foster parent. So what's that journey like for you?
Sure. I never had imagined being a foster parent. I really didn't even know much about foster care in general. When we were in a church we were in, I guess about 5 or 6 years ago, there was a lot of foster family and adoptive families in our church. And so I was surrounded by it. I loved it. I loved supporting them, but it really didn't enter my mind as something for us. And then I was at a point in my life where I was feeling kind of I didn't feel like I was reaching the purpose that I wanted to.
Hmm.
I wanted to do something greater with my life. And at about the same time, our pastor was preaching on hospitality in First Peter, and he talked about how there's all kinds of ways to be hospitable as Christians. We can have people over for dinner. We can host international potential adoptees to help them get to know families over here. And then he said, and my personal favorite picture of hospitality is foster care.
Hmm.
And in that split second, it was like a light bulb for me, and I immediately felt like it was for us. I had no hesitation in moving forward, called my husband. He was completely on board. And within 3 months, we were licensed.
Wow. What was
Yeah.
that licensing project process like?
A lot of paperwork, but not too bad. You have to get your fingerprints done, FBI fingerprints. You have to get CPR, TB test. Your house has to be inspected, fire inspection. Um, a lot of little things just to make sure that you're a safe home and that the state can trust you with caring for a child.
Okay. Wow.
Yeah.
So how long ago was this when this happened again?
That was in January of 2014.
Okay.
And
And so how many foster babies have you had?
we've had 8 foster placements, and one of them we ended up adopting. And then the other 7 either went back to family members or went on to adoptive homes.
And what have you learned during this process about foster care, about God, about yourself?
Yeah, that's a good question. That's a deep question. um, I've learned to not be so focused on myself. Foster care definitely takes you out of your comfort zone. It stretches you. Every time you get a new placement, it's kind of like going through a huge life change,
Hmm.
every single child. So there's kind of the honeymoon period. And then there's just, we've learned to pay attention to the signs that, you've got to protect your marriage, you've got to protect your finances and how you deal with your kids. Just everything in your environment kind of shifts when you go through a big change like that. So we've really learned to try to get our focus off of
Hmm.
ourselves, and not only for the kids' sake, but also for our family's sake. We're doing this for our family to know what it looks like to show the love of Christ. And and then in the same respect with adoption, we didn't go into foster care to adopt. We didn't want to take a child away from a mother.
Sure.
But through the process, with foster care, biological parents are given a lot of chances to reunify with their children, and that's our goal as foster parents, is to always support reunification if it's what's best for the child. So when in our case, when the parents just weren't able to do what they were asked to do, and our son came, they asked us if we would be willing to adopt. We said absolutely. No hard feelings against the biological parents. We speak of them highly with respect and love. He knows his story. He knows he has 2 mommies. And he says the name of his biological mom when we talk about her. And so we just have lots of respect. And so that has also helped us in the way that we teach our family about the love of Christ,
Hmm.
through all of that.
Yeah, that's awesome. So tell us about your book. Tell us why the book. Let's
Okay.
start with why on that. Why'd you write a children's book for foster families and foster children?
Okay. So we had our first placement in May, the
Mm-hmm.
first week of May. And really soon after, well, let me go back. She was 3.5 years old, and we were her fifth move.
Wow.
On top of that, she was coming from a foster home that had abused and neglected her.
Mm.
So in that honeymoon period where I was trying to figure out how to comfort her and knowing what to say, I felt like at my wit's end.
Mm.
So I posted on Facebook. I needed help. I needed some kind of guidance how to effectively communicate to this child who'd been through so much trauma. And one of my friends private messaged me, and she said, Jamie, you need to find a book that says exactly what you want to tell her, read it to her every day, and at the end, when she leaves, write your name in the back and send it with her. And I thought that was a great idea. So I went looking, and I found a lot of cute books, foster care books geared towards foster care,
Mm-hmm.
but none of them said exactly what I wanted to say.
Hmm.
And then on top of that, with the idea of writing the name in the back and then her moving so much, I thought these kids need more than just a story. They need something to be able to take with them that also documents that where they were in that time in their life. And it doesn't have to be all the gory details. All of these moves most likely are not the brightest spot in their past.
Right.
So I thought with a book, when I couldn't find, I'm jumping all over the place.
No, you're great. Keep
You know,
going.
when I was looking online and I couldn't find what I was looking for, I immediately knew that I had to write the book. And before that, it's another light bulb moment, because before that moment, I had never imagined being an author or writing a book or anything like that. But it felt like a God thing that he just gave me the words to say, the idea for the book. And then back to the idea of the book, my hope was that if we could create a book that would comfort the child, give words to the foster family to help them, like as a resource, and then also have a keepsake section in the back, then it would help the child maybe have a little bright spot in that part of their history. And also that they wouldn't lose those memories. Little things like what they liked to eat when they were 3 years old, or if they were a baby, what was their first word? All those things that if they're in foster care in those formative years, those things are lost when nobody documents those things.
Wow. So you wrote a book. How long did it take for you to write the book?
It was one night. It was literally the
You
night.
can't say that to authors that, oh, I wrote it in one night and that was it. And
I don't mean it like that. I just mean,
no, I know you didn't mean it that way. That's why I'm picking on you. If I thought you meant it that way, we just kind of keep going through. So I love it. So that's great. No, so you wrote it in one night. I mean, that's amazing. Like you had this idea and you put this book together, and I know along the way there were some delays in illustrations and processes and publishing, but you're finally able to publish it. And Jamie, you've sold now thousands of copies of your book, Love You From Right Here, and there are organizations around the country that are buying it in bulk to give to their foster families. So what's that like for you? What kind of feedback have you heard? What kind of stories are you allowed to share of families who have utilized this beautiful tool for foster care? What would you like to share? I'd love to hear more about that.
yeah, it's so surreal, because I never had the dream of this. It's still hard to believe. I check the numbers every week, and I'm just, no matter what the number is, I'll tell my kids, oh my gosh, there were X amount of people last week all across the country who saw this book, and thought it would be worth purchasing. It just blown away every single week. And then when organizations reach out to me and say they want to buy bulk and they want to give it to their foster parents when they finish their training as a gift, or they want to, CPS offices have rainbow closets, and so they have it in their closets to be able to give out to kids as soon as they get to their first placement.
That's great.
That means so much to me. There's organizations like Bags of Love and Lufkin who want to put the book in every single bag that they give out. And what they do is they create a duffel bag full of the first night supplies like pajamas and toothpaste and stuff, and they give it to CPS so that when CPS goes to the home, they're not telling their kid, oh, you have 5 minutes to pack, here's a trash bag. They say, here's a duffel bag that's yours. You can have it, and there's a book in it that can give them some comfort that very first night. That just means so much to me.
Yeah, that's outstanding. That's fantastic. So What are your hopes for these kids, though? So you write a book, and you're like, okay, I want to help foster parents. You had your friend tell you, hey, find a great book that you can read every day with your foster child. You realize there wasn't something specifically for that. You've created that. But have you ever thought ahead of like, okay, in 15, 20 years when these kids are older, what hopes do you have for them from this resource?
I really am looking forward to the day where I hear stories about what this book meant to a child.
Mm,
I am hopeful that what this book did was not only was it, I mean, take me out of the equation. The book provides a connection, a love letter from the foster family that had them to that child, so that years from now, whether they reconnect or not, that child knows they were loved
mm,
and they were taken care of. They were loved enough for a family to document silly memories or big memories. They were loved enough for a person to take a picture, have it printed, and put it in a book. Um, a lot of foster kids don't get that.
right.
So I can't wait to hear stories. I hear stories right now because of where the process of the book is. I hear stories now from the foster parents who love the idea and who say in those last few days if they have a heads up that their child is leaving, it gives them a chance to sit down and write and make notes. And one foster family told me they had a particularly challenging situation with a child.
Mm,
And so a lot of their time with the child was kind of clouded with negative. And she said when she sat down to write the book, she pulled really positive moments out. And because of that, it was able to help her have a different perspective of her time with that child. It made her really appreciate her time, even though most of it had been negative. And that meant a lot to me because I could attest to that too with some of our placements. So I love getting the feedback that foster parents right now are loving a way to tell their child that they love them and not it just be a quick or it's a way for them to send a love letter.
yeah, that's so amazing. It's funny to me that you're like, oh my gosh, I've sold thousands of books now, and I'm sitting here thinking like, of course you have. I mean, it's a beautiful and wonderful resource. And for those of you watching this that haven't purchased a copy yet, it's in hardcover, and it's actually there's one behind Jamie that you can see over there. Yeah. And a copy of her book, and they have soft cover as well. And it's a great story, a beautiful story with beautiful illustrations. And at the back, there's a space to put in information about the child and pictures of the child, because I know Stephanie and I went through training for adoption years ago, and that was part of it is, children that go through the foster system at times struggle because they don't know their history. And this is a wonderful resource to help establish and help children know their story, but also to know that they were loved along the way. And it's been a wonderful resource. So, Jamie, what's next for you as an author? We love having you as one of our Lucid Books authors, but what's next for you?
We are actually working, you and me and my illustrator are working to actually revamp the original version of the book a bit. When I wrote the book, it was my story in my head was the story of me in my first placement, a little girl. But over the last few years, I've come to realize that it really is an important resource to have available with other options,
Yeah.
like with a little boy character or with a different race. And so that's what we're doing. We're working on 5 more options of the same book
Awesome.
with a different child character, just to give other foster families with different foster children that don't look like this one give them an opportunity to buy one that looks more like their child. Now we can't
Right, match everybody, sure.
everybody, but we're going to do our best to just give more options. So that's the next step. And then after that, hopefully soon after that, I want to also create an adoption keepsake book that helps a child know what to expect on adoption day and not feel so overwhelmed by all the things that come with adoption day for a child.
Well, I'm in on that one too. So just know, so we love working with you. I know my family and I have many friends who are in foster care and adoption, and we had tried to adopt a little boy several years ago that didn't end up working out, but it was a wonderful process for us, long run, and so I love that there. So how can people connect with you? I know your book's available on Amazon, Barnes and Noble. It's called Love You From Right Here by Jamie Sandefer. But where else can people connect with you?
I'm on Instagram with my name, Jamie Sandefer.
Okay.
I'm on Facebook, same with my name. And I have a website that I'm constantly trying to tweak and make better. But I have resources on there. I have free printables on the website. The back of the book with all the documentation section is all available on the website for free. I never want the cost of a book to hinder a foster family from jotting down memories. And I know they could do that on any kind of blank piece of paper, but I wanted to provide those online. And I also have coloring pages, so lots of fun things on the website.
Awesome. Well, Jamie, thanks so much for taking some time out of your busy day to meet with me and to share with all of our viewers out there. And for those of you who are watching, again, this is Casey Cease with our Lucid Books author, Jamie Sandefer, and we appreciate you for watching, and we'll see you next time.